All right, let's take a look at Chapter 2. Chapter 2, remember we have archaeology and archaeologists. They study human behavior and cultures. Remember, cultures is a key word here of the past through recovery and analysis of artifacts. That's the second word. So if we remember cultures and artifacts, we'll remember archaeology. Our site that we study is Cactus Hill. It's located on the Nottoway River in southeastern Virginia, and it gives us evidence that humans lived there at Cactus Hill as early as 18,000 years ago. Makes it one of the oldest archaeological sites in North America. Here are some examples of artifacts. If you're not sure what an artifact is, it could be an arrowhead, pottery, canoes, or weapons. Also remember, scientists are not in agreement about how and when people first arrived in the Western Hemisphere. Some people think they came over on a land bridge. Some people believe they were always here. Um, New theories emerge as scientists discover new sites and ancient artifacts in various locations throughout the Western Hemisphere. In the past, American Indians fished, hunted, grew crops. They made um, articles out of animal skins, wood, and adobe bricks, just like the Pueblo. We have natural resources, things that come directly from nature, human resources. These are people. All right, so we want to remember that human resources are people working to produce goods and services, and capital resources are those goods produced by people to make other goods and services. So, like a fishing rod or an axe or a house are considered capital resources. Um, so some examples: fish, corn, ducks are natural resources. Human resources are fishermen, farmers, hunters, people who make clothing. Capital resources: spear, bows and arrows, canoes, houses. And this is very important. Make sure that you know where they all live. You got the Inuit up here, Kwakiutl, Pueblo, Lakota, and Iroquois. And if you remember, Inuit, very cold, so they're going to rely quite a bit on the ocean for fish, seals. These are all things that they're going to rely on to, first of all, for food, and also to keep them warm. Remember, uh, they use the animal skins to create or to have fur coats, line their houses. Um, they use whale intestines to make parkas to keep them dry. And then you got the Kwakiutl. Even though they are pretty far north, the weather here is very nice, very warm. Well, mild, I would say, but also very rainy. So they try to protect themselves from the rain. The opposite of the rainy is the very dry Pueblo. They use adobe bricks, the clay that they find in the mountains, to build their shelters. Lakotas are out in the Great Plains, so they're also very dry. Really, it's hot here, cold up here. And they rely on buffalo in order to survive. They make everything out of the buffalo. First of all, they eat them, but then they also use them for their shelter, to make teepees, and they use teepees to follow the buffalo around. And then we got the Iroquois that live up in the eastern woodlands, and their weather and environment is very much like around here. It's very woody. Um, they have a lot of animals around, so they make their houses out of wood, obviously. And they had canoes, and they did a lot of farming and hunting. And then look over here on your study guide. You have the Inuit. Um, they're very cold. Kwakiutl, rainy, mild climate. They live in the Pacific Northwest coast. The Lakota are in the interior of the United States, called the Great Plains, dry grassland. And the Pueblo, also dry, hot areas, um, and they'll be using clay for their houses. And then the Iroquois, the Northeast North America, we call it Eastern Woodlands. It's heavily forested Eastern Woodlands. So that's it. Let me just go over this slowly so if you can pause it to, and I'll start from the beginning actually, might be a little bit better. So if you want to study something, you could just pause the screen as necessary in case you forgot your study guide or your book. Get you this map here. Yep. Inuit, Kwakiutl, Lakota. and then the Pueblo and the Iroquois. All right, good luck on your test.